Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, Good evening, everyone. On behalf of IPCLIMB, I welcome you all to what is an essential in filmmaking and to what most creators pay very little attention to. I welcome you all to a first of its kind webinar titled One Wrong Fact, One Legal Notice Risk Management in Film Production. So, I am Shakti, Legal Executive at IPCLIMB, and I will be acting as the moderator of this webinar as well. Before we begin our session, I would like to explain in brief what we at IPCLIMB do and how we are of help to the creative creator community. At IPCLIMB, we deliver end-to-end legal services and IP services for films and creators. From development to exploitation, we secure, structure, and manage IP assets covering rights, clearances, contracts, compliance, and risk mitigation, ensuring creators and artists. We protect, control, and fully leverage the value of their intellectual property. We have a set of curated tools aiming to serve a large purpose and to be of great use to the creative community. Kindly follow us and stay tuned to our socials at IPCLIMB for further information and to know the latest updates about IPCLIMB. We will also be providing you with the communication details to reach out to IPCLIMB for any services or any doubts regarding the same in the chat box in a few minutes. Coming to today's event, today's conversation, today's webinar is really going to be an intersection of two critical layers. One, facts, and the other, framework. Because while fact checking protects the truth, legal structuring protects the use of that particular truth. In today's content landscape, it's not enough for a story to be just accurate. It also needs to be legally secure to make it to the screen. That's exactly why we felt it was important to bring both perspectives together. On one hand, we have experts who ensure that what you're putting out is credible and is verified. And on the other, at IPCLIMB, we work on ensuring that once it is verified, it can actually be used, protected, and monetized without any risk. To help us understand this better, I love to bring in our guest who specializes in fact checking and content verification, Mr. Venkatesh Srinivasan, co-founder and CEO at Nexus Consulting, a leading knowledge services firm. Mr. Venkatesh Srinivasan is a prominent figure in Indian cuisine. Over the years, Sir has hosted hundreds of quiz shows across formats and platforms, earning a reputation as one of India's most engaging and interesting quiz masters. Sir has also anchored and analyzed numerous digital sports shows in both Tamil and English. Known for his quick wit, deep subject knowledge, and stage presence, Mr. Venki is a sought-after presenter as well as moderator. I welcome you, sir, and I'm extremely happy to be your moderator for today, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shakti. Thank you very much, and thank you to the IPCLIMB and Producer Bazaar team. Good evening to all of you who've joined this webinar, either on this call or who are watching us through the live stream. Thank you for that warm introduction. My name is Venki Srinivasan. I run Nexus. We are a company based in Bangalore, Bombay, and Chennai, and we began life as a quizzing company. And we've kind of taken that forward, and we do several interesting things in the knowledge space. And one of them is our deep rigor and focus on making sure that the facts that are used in any context, in any competition, or in any format are verified, authentic, true, and can stand the test of any kind of checking or rigor. Like Shakti said, I think the idea here is to do this combination of the factual accuracy piece, which is important, and align it with the legal framework of usability. Just because something is factually correct doesn't mean it might necessarily be usable. But over the next 20 odd minutes, I am going to try and talk to you about the fact checking piece or the factual accuracy piece. And then Shakti will come back and potentially talk about the piece related to the legal aspects. So let's get going with this. Can we move to the next slide, please, Vijay? Yeah, so a little bit about Nexus. We are based in Bangalore. We set up in 2012. We've been running it full time since 2014. So we're about 12 plus years in the market. We conduct several large quiz shows on ground for schools, colleges, corporates, and several such audiences. And our clients are some of the biggest names in the country. We work with the Indian Navy, we work with the Indian Air Force, we work with the Reserve Bank of India, we work with the HDFC Ergo Insurance, we work with Malayalam Manorama, we work with a wide range of customers. What is interesting is also that we are the number one content provider for all TV-based quiz shows. So the most famous of them, of course, is Kaun Banega Crorepati with Amitabh Bachchan. Over the last 4 seasons, since 2022, Nexus has been the only team that has been providing questions for the show. We have done versions of Kaun Banega Crorepati in 4 South Indian languages as well: Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, as well as in Marathi. We also work on several other TV shows. Like if some of you are watching, there is a show by Akshay Kumar, hosted by actor Akshay Kumar on Sony right now called Wheel of Fortune. That is also a show that we are working on. And we've also extended our services outside the India market, and we work with the TV producers in the UK market as well. So the reason I'm giving you this introduction is that since we are a quizzing company and a knowledge company, this whole aspect of verified content is very, very important for us. And we will share a couple of examples of our experiences as well a little later on in this presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah. So coming to the topic at hand, so we are talking about for all creators, and when I say creators, we are encompassing the film, OTT, short film, docu-film, reel, whatever format you're creating content in. We are talking about getting into this next level of detail. So why do these details matter, right? So a lot of people think that being accurate means just putting out a lot of facts out there, what we call fact dumping. That is not the case, right? Accuracy is about whether the story world, that is the world in which your story is set in, whatever that story might be. It might be a thriller, it might be a romance, it might be historical fiction, it may be science fiction. The story world has to feel credible in terms of time, which is the time period or time frame it's set in, the place, which is the location and the context it's set in, the behavior of the people in the story, and the whole system governing that story. Now, it might be a system that you have made up on your own, it's your own imaginary world, and you have decided to do this. Even there, the details particularly matter because that makes your story and your setting all the more richer. If you are thinking about everything from the costumes that the characters are wearing, to the accent with which they are speaking, to the brands that you're going to show on screen, and so on. Why are these important? Because what happens is when there is a wrong detail, it breaks the immersion of the viewer into the content or the story. In an ideal world, you always want your viewer or consumer of your content to completely enter your world, right? So, for example, we are seeing like a Ponniyin Selvan screenshot over there. You want to, as a what Madras Talkies or Maniratnam would have wanted is for each of us as a viewer to completely enter the world of the Cholas, enter the world of Ponniyin Selvan. Wrong details can help break that immersion. We can trust because the viewer today is very, very, very sharp, and everyone has access to an immense amount of information. And it can lead to unnecessary controversy, as we have seen in many cases around the work, where the core of the story gets lost and all the noise or the chatter becomes around this particular detail that people realize you've got it wrong. And many of you may know what I'm talking about. The most famous example of that in Tamil cinema, and we'll talk about that as well a little later. I'll break into a little bit of Tamil as well at times. I'm assuming that a lot of people on the call will be able to understand it, but I will largely stick to speaking in English. Let's move on. Yeah. So what happens when you're wrong? Well, like I said, it becomes a distraction from the story. So people stop looking at the story and start looking at, hey, this so and so item was wrong or so and so error was spotted. Becomes the main part of the conversation. There is a loss of credibility. People say, அடப்போப்பா இவங்க இப்படிதான் இஷ்டத்துக்கு என்ன வேணா காமிப்பாங்க. They'll show whatever they want. There is no authenticity in what they're doing. What does this lead to? This leads in today's world to, as you all know, tremendous amount of trolling on social media. People create memes and say, oh, look, they are showing this in this particular year or this particular timeline, and it is completely wrong. And in many cases, and that's the legal angle where IP-CLIMB will also come in and talk about it, it can actually lead to cases in the court. And we're going to present one such example as well. So the wrong details can pull the viewer out of the scene. And even when the writing is strong, the acting is fantastic, the direction is great, the background sound is great, but people start finding out a mistake and they start criticizing publicly, and that detracts from it. So like somebody has put out like a, whatever you may call a troll or a meme or whatever, saying that this is from Kabali, of course, and that particular product in Russia 25 years ago cannot be, the particular price that it is today. It has to be a price that it was, it was like 75 cents, or it was less than 1 ringgit, 2 ringgit at the time. It can't be 3.2 ringgit. So this is a very, very trivial or minor thing, but people will make a big issue out of it, right? Next, please. Yeah. So what is factual accuracy and what it is not, right? So a lot of people, the immediate, as creators, I know how many of you may be feeling or many of you may be thinking, saying, bringing in too many facts spoils the creativity of the whole scene or the creativity of the whole story or a content output. That is not the case, right? Factual accuracy is not the enemy of creativity. It is a research discipline. Just like there is a specialist behind a camera, and you are hiring a specialist for that reason, because that there is a DOP or a photographer who knows how to frame an angle and get the best shot. Factual accuracy and checking, we believe, is as much a research discipline as that. It can be used as a powerful tool for credibility. It can make the story much richer than what it already is. It can protect the tone and the context of your story so people don't get distracted. And it becomes a habit to make this real and authentic. So it should not be viewed as, taking away creativity. It should not be viewed as a documentary. So many people say, "Arey, it's okay. எதுக்கு வந்து இவ்ளோ டீடைலுக்கு போகணும்? We are not making a documentary here. It's after all a feature film." And we put in a disclaimer right at the beginning saying, all these are works of fiction. They don't bear anything related to real life. But at the same time, people who are watching know that there is a particular context. I mean, if you're setting a movie in a particular year, it may be fictional, but people know that you have set it in that particular year, right? So it need not be viewed as a documentary, and it need not be viewed as over explaining, but it can be viewed as a strength that can be built into the film itself and into the content itself. So the key question is very simple. Do we make conscious creative choices around this? Or do we just carry careless assumptions into the frame and say, look, boss, for me, the acting is what is important and the background score is important. Doesn't matter if I show something wrong on screen. I'm sure nobody wants to do that. It comes in by mistake. And what we are saying is we can offer a professional way to help all of you streamline this and make this a tool for you to become more successful. Next, please. Yeah. So where do these errors typically creep in and where do people spot these errors, right? Indian audiences have always had its share of very serious people who watch movies with great level of detail and look at it. And especially in today's world where everything is hyper connected, you have ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever at the, on your phones. Very easy to check, verify, and quickly find out anything. What we have realized through our research is that the details around some of these specific things are usually very carefully pointed out. So what are these things? Law. So anything involving legal, legal structure, legal framework, courtroom scene, etc. Bureaucracy, which is, civil services, IAS, IPS, police, government, what you're showing around that, medicine, politics, language, and region, right? Uh, and and this includes culture. So when I say region, it includes region, culture, religion, art, dance, music, all of it. So in courtroom, police, or crime, for example, very important to show the right hierarchies, right? So if you know that a constable is reporting to a sub-inspector, is reporting to an inspector, is reporting to a DSP. Now, that hierarchy needs to be obviously shown exactly. You cannot suddenly show a hierarchy. You cannot show a particular scene where, let's say, uh, a random person working in some department is calling up his counterpart in the police and asking him to get something done. That is not how it works in real life, right? So you want to get that hierarchy right. You want to get the ranks right. So you cannot. You would ideally not want to make up a rank if you are showing something that's set in the real world. Again, I am clarifying here that you may be creating a fictional world of your own, like say a Kantara or like say a KGF or like anything like that. But even in that world, you have to get the detailing right. We are largely talking about things that are set in the real world. So you want to show the right rank, which means that if a DGP rank police officer has 3 stars on his uniform, you want to be able to show that correctly, right? Paperwork. When a normal person goes to a police station today to file, let's say, an FIR, what actually happens, right? You want to show that as authentically as possible. What is the procedure? Like, what is the jurisdiction? You cannot show a murder, say, happening in Chhattisgarh, but the case being tried in a court in Visakhapatnam, right? So things like that become important and can be interesting. Medical and forensic becomes super important because we find that a lot of content these days has some angle or element of medical related stuff. It could be a simple medicine, it could be an operation, it could even be a murder. And when you're showing a murder, for example, somebody being stabbed, you want to show that, let's say somebody is being stabbed with a knife, you want to show the entry point of that wound and the way that blood has splattered as authentically as possible, right? Period and political settings, super important because there could have been certain words in a particular language, for example, which would not have existed 20 years ago. A classic case could be something like a word like mobile, right? Today, we all use the word mobile because it means mobile phone. But if you're setting a movie in the 80s or the 90s, nobody would have used the word mobile, at least not in the context of a mobile phone, right? Or it could be signage, like a particular kind of signage being shown or a particular brand being shown over there. And we're going to show you some examples of that. Public behavior, media references, yeah, you're showing something and you want to show a TV channel running some news in the background and you want to show, say, Sun News. You have to be clear that Sun News was not, say, around in 1989 when your movie or your OTT show is being set. So you cannot show the background playing Sun News. You have to show the background playing Doordarshan Tamil, possibly, and so on. So these things become very important because they're very easily spotted. And then, of course, comes the very, very sensitive aspect of region and culture. Uh, Whenever a movie is being set in a particular region, sub-region, culture, let's say you're setting it in the Nilgiri Hills among the tribes over there, or you're setting it in Chettinad with the people over there, then the kind of food they eat, the kind of dresses they wear, the kind of footwear they wear, the way their hair is styled, the way they talk, the gods they worship, the way their houses are constructed, some of the rituals that people do. Like in some communities, it's great to enter your house with wearing footwear. In some communities, definitely not allowed. In certain types of households, you have to wash your feet before you get into the house. In certain types of households, there is there is some other practice that's followed, and so on. So these are all places where I think we have found out from our research that audiences very quickly spot errors. Then next, please. Yeah. So we believe there are 4 layers of working on factual accuracy, which is the service that a firm like Nexus would like to provide along with IPCLIMB, which is at the script level, the scene level, the world level, and the sensitivity level. So let's see script authenticity. I think script authenticity is where it all begins. When you're writing the script, you want to get most of these things correct. You want to include in the script the correctness of timeline, the authenticity of the culture, and the professional realism. So the year, the place, the system, all of that becomes super important. So the timeline means the story. So what do we mean by these 3 points? Timeline means the story must be at the right, must fit that particular year or that period. The cultural authenticity means the world should be true, like we already discussed, the social setting, the context to be right. And the professional realism means that particular person, that role should behave and speak like a person in that role would, right? And all of this can be done at the script level. So it becomes script authenticity becomes very important. We'll show you a little example now. I've been talking a lot, so let's lighten it up a little bit. This is from the film Nanban, 2012. Think sound has not been shared, but that's all right. I mean, sound is not important in the scene, but just watch the scene. So this is the famous scene from Nanban, which is, of course, a remake of Three Idiots. And this movie came out in 2012, but the story of the movie is set in 2000. This particular part of the story, when they are back in college, is set in 2001, right? It's very clearly mentioned that it's set in 2001. Now, if you look at this particular scene, just play the scene again, please. So if you look at this particular scene, uh, at a quick look, there's one thing that's very evident. I mean, one is that, of course, that they are using YouTube. And the second is that that's a Windows 7 operating system that they're using, right? Now, the problem with this is in 2001, YouTube was not even there as a company. YouTube came and was formed as a service and a company only in 2005, right? And Windows 7 as the software was released in 2007. Now, this is a very simple kind of example where a certain level or amount of research going into this could have easily solved this problem. Either they could have set the timeline of the film to be later, or they could have shown this being seen through some other form of video, right? Or on maybe some other website, but not on a site like YouTube. So perhaps because the movie released in 2012 and it was a setting then and YouTube had become popular, they used YouTube in the scene. But this part of the story is actually set in 2000. So it's a very simple, avoidable mistake by doing the right amount of research. And this could have been caught at the script level, at the filming level, or at the post-production level. If somebody was looking at it at the post-production time, seeing that this coming up, they could have caught this as a potential problem, right? So even one incorrect technology reference can damage the authenticity of that period. Then we have another example like Mersal. A lot of, there was a lot of news saying that the doctors were very unhappy with the way they were portrayed and so on. And if you look at it, some minor errors, right? If you look at that screenshot, it says Teresa Clinic, Dr. Maran, MBBS, MD. And he does all these surgeries that you see there. Now, typically, the truth is that an MD qualification is not for surgeons, right? People who become surgeons are MBBS, MS qualified, usually. So it's a very small thing. They could have changed it from MBBS, MD to MBBS, MS, which could have potentially shown this as being much more authentic. So this may not be caught by a general viewer. You or I seeing this will not know the difference between an MD and an MS, and we won't really care also. But that specific community, for example, of doctors, a lot of people spotted this, and they had some other issues as well. And so they said things like, pirate the movie, don't watch the movie in the theaters, and so on. So it's an unnecessary distraction from what is otherwise a movie that's made as a Vijay starer and as a particularly interesting story and so on. So this is script level. Now we go to let's go to the next slide. Now we go to on-screen accuracy, which is what the camera sees, right? So this is where props come in, costumes come in, the tone of dialogues come in, and the behavior of the actors come in. This is very sensitive because this is what the audiences see directly, right? It is right in front of them. It is right in front of their face when they see something on the screen. So wrong uniform or badly designed prop or a very unnatural dialogue by using, let's say, swear words or by using words which are not used in that particular region or by those particular people, and the mannerisms that an actor or an actress would show on screen can all be very disturbing to somebody who's watching it or viewing it, right? So this layer becomes important. And just a couple of examples we'll show you. there's the famous movie called Ghazi Attack, which was about a real life incident from 1971 during the India-Pakistan war. Now, the what they've shown on the map is as if Sikkim was already part of India, right? If you look at this map, it suggests that Sikkim was already part of India. Now, that's not true. That's factually inaccurate, right? Sikkim actually became a part of India only in 1975. It was recognized as a state only in 1975. It was an independent kingdom in 1971. So this is the kind of this is the kind of minor error that could have been very, very easily solved by outlining Sikkim over there and calling it out as Sikkim. Again, it may not have changed anything in the story per se, but this is a historical film, right? So this is not it may be a work of fiction, but it's a work of fiction based on a true event or a real event. In this kind of a historical film, I think it becomes all the more important to get the absolute specific details correct to lend authenticity to it. Otherwise, the reason why a lot of audiences are watching a movie like this is because they believe that they want to know about that period of history, right? So you want to be as authentic as possible with something like this. So it's not just visual design, political geography type thing becomes very, very important in displaying on-screen authenticity. And then we have a very famous example on the next slide, which is Ponniyin Selvan. So this is fascinating because, again, not too many people noticed this, but the people who noticed this had a lot of conversation around it. You can see from the screenshot, a lot of scenes in Ponniyin Selvan. It's a very simple thing. They show pumpkins over there, right? Now, if you actually look at it, that particular vegetable, the pumpkin, did not come into India during the time of the Cholas. It is what is called a New World vegetable, and it came into India much later after the explorations of Columbus and the Americas and European colonization and so on. So the pumpkin as a vegetable came into India probably well into the 1500s, 1600s, right? Not at the time of the Cholas. At that time, there was a similar vegetable that was available, which is called the ash god, right? That could have been the more authentic vegetable to show over there. So while the team has gone into several amounts of detail to Ponniyin Selvan is one of my favorite films. Of course, Mani sir is one of my favorite directors of all time. And I know the level of detailing that they go into and the research team that they have to try and figure out every single aspect of detail, from curtain drapes to the kind of costumes that, Trisha and Aishwarya were wearing on screen and so on. This is just a very minor error that crept in just because, somebody didn't do one more filtered layer of research. Again, nothing to do with the story. Does it change the story? Does it change the authenticity of whatever has been shown? Perhaps not. But you would ideally want to get all your details correct, right? And so it can be something as simple as that fruit or the vegetable or the food item that you're using in that scene. Let's move on. We'll now go to, so we have seen script, we've seen camera. This is now background and world, which is posters, billboards, vehicles, signage, so on, which is all the behind the scenes actions. Now we look at, again, a very hit movie from 2021. In the next slide, Sarpata Parambarai. It's a movie we have all loved, but just look at this scene, right? This is a 2021 movie, but this scene is set in 1975, right? The whole movie is set in 1970s Chennai. This scene is set in 1975. And you can see that there is a Limca ad in the background, right? Again, Limca as a brand launched only in 1977. It did not launch in 1975. So there cannot have been a Limca ad in the background of the scene for a movie set in 1975. So this is the kind of thing that slips through the details because you are trying to shoot a very intense scene, right? You're not really bothering about what is in the background. But this is exactly where the detailing can come right if there is a kind of professional approach to this and somebody looks at it with a very specific focus. Now, this would have not been in the script because no script writer will write saying the next scene is set in a rickshaw with two characters talking to each other with a Limca ad in the background, right? This could have been spotted by the camera. This is something that the production design guys would have put together and done when they're constructing the set design for this particular scene. In a post-production review, this is something that we could have certainly kind of caught or certainly, uh, arrested it and changed it to something relevant at the time. Then we look at one couple of final examples. This became a very famous example, of course, Amaran, the Sivakarthikeyan hit movie that came out. Now, what happened is that uh, uh, there was a number that was shown on the screen in the film. Now, it turned out that that number was the number of a real life person. He's an engineering student, and that real number was shown in the scene, and now that person was getting bunch of hundreds and thousands of calls from various people because that number got shown in and saved in Truecaller and so on. So after this, essentially the movie makers had to pay 1.1 crores to the as the lawsuit damages to VV Vagisen, who was the student in this question, and then had to mask the phone number in the film. So it was an inadvertent oversight because that occurred during the computer graphics work, but something that turned out to be actually very, very costly in this case. So it's not just, oh, it's okay. Though தெரியாம பண்ணிட்டோம், பரவாயில்ல. So what if we showed pumpkins on the scene? It's not like that. It actually cost the movie makers more than 1 crore. And it caused immense angst for some student who was not aligned with this at all. Just to round this off, we go to sensitivity and bias. Of course, we know that in India, there are so many religions, sub-religions, castes, subcastes, practices which are unique, relevant to one particular group, one particular community, and so on. And things can become very, very sensitive. And these things can actually end up causing severe damage in real life as well. And the most famous example of this, of course, that all of you will know is what happened with Jai Bhim and the particular community taking outrage at this by just seeing that calendar in the background, right? Something that could have, and then it started kind of really getting out of control, and lots of it became very tense and completely avoidable in real life. I think if there was some sensitivity towards this. The other is an example of an OTT show, Family Man. A lot of criticism about how Samantha's, depiction on screen was. This is what in Hollywood for many years was called using brown facing or black facing, which is deliberately showing a particular community, or let's say somebody who's in a negative role in a different color, and because that kind of paints them in a negative light, and something that you use to change skin tone, where everybody perfectly knows how that person is in real life, and you deliberately change skin tone to make a point. Again, this caused, I think, a lot of controversy. And Family Man is such a great show; it's a very well written show, but it caused this controversy. And then a person none other than Sri Udaynidhi Stalin pointed out a historical error in Dhanush's Karnan, because he said, look, you have said that this incident took place in 1995. You've said it takes place in 1997. It actually took place in 1995. Now, there are two layers behind this. One, of course, is that it's historically correct, but there's also a political thing behind it in terms of which government was in power in that year when this particular incident took place, right? So in 1995, there was a particular party's government in power. In 1997, it was a different party. So he made sure to say that, look, this is, you've said that it's 1997. It's not, it's 1995. And then that mistake was later rectified. Right. So that's pretty much it. I think let's go to the end. We just want to talk about what we do as a company. So quickly, where do the errors come? Like we've already said, at script level, because somebody would have written it from memory instead of getting it checked. The props, costume, the breakdown, the preparation, the details are not given accurately to the team that does it, to the team that does the set. And then the continuity mistakes happen somewhere where you're going back in time in that particular story to a year or to an era where, something you've forgotten to change the detail, right? So simple do's and what we recommend. You can involve an organization like us from pre-production level. At the script level, we can we can read the bound script, we can flag the research heavy scenes, we can identify the risky details, and we can compile that into an actionable report and give it to you, and then work with production to make sure that when it's produced, the props, the costumes and all of it are rendered well. And despite all of this, go through the whole thing on post-production once and make sure we flag anything that is inconsistent, anything that is not accurately depicted over there, which will protect you from any kind of legal issues later on. Move it on, please. Yeah, so we identify the risk. We ask the question, which is, does it fit? We quickly verify. So rigorous verification. Then we push it into prep, and then we recheck it on set. So there is a set process for this. It goes into a fair level of detail and rigor, and we ensure that it is implemented and not just given out as a recommendation. So bunch of things to verify. This is more our internal checklist that we are sharing with you. These are all the things that we would look at, like we've already shared: props, costumes, place, language, dialect, title, ranks, true event claims, paperwork, institutional procedure, continuity, all of it, and a bunch of do's and don'ts. Again, we would our constant reiteration is that this is important. It will add value to your output. It will add value to your content. Don't think of it as extra work. Don't think of the fact that viewers won't notice, and don't take unnecessarily liberties which could land you in trouble, both from an authenticity perspective and even worse from a legal perspective, right? So everything is worth checking, and we are not making an in-your-face sales pitch saying you have to use Nexus for all these services. The point is that this is an important aspect that all of us in the creative community need to come together and understand. That's mainly the idea. So yeah, this is how we would quickly check, does it fit the year? We are showing a double-decker bus in Bombay. Was it correct? Was it there? Does it fit the place where all these brands around at that particular point of time, where these kind of, bell-bottom trousers used by people in that time? Does it look correct? Does it, has the continuity been there, and so on? I just want to tell you how we approach this at KBC, because it's a show watched by millions and millions and millions of people. And even a small error there gets blown up. And so many people write in, so many people call Mr. Bachchan himself and tell him about this. I want to show you two examples. One that happened in 2019 before we took over this project, right? So we were not the question setters for this question that you see there. It was the previous company. But this was the question: which of these rulers was the contemporary of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb? Maharana Pratap, Rana Sanga, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and Shivaji. Now, this caused a massive outrage. And you know why? It's not because the question is factually incorrect in any manner. You will know. Let's go to the next slide. Everybody said it's very disrespectful for you to mention Shivaji over there as Shivaji. You should have said Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, because that is how he is known. And saying Shivaji is a insulting reference. So this blew up into a massive issue. Boycott KBC started trending and so on. And then the channel Sony had to apologize personally to various people and in public, saying we did not mean any disrespect. This is such a small thing. The question is correct. The question is factually correct. The wording of the question is correct. The three options are correct. But in the fourth option, just missing out two words in it has caused such a massive issue, right? So nothing is too trivial. I mean, we may not think it makes any difference, but we could see that this blew up into a big issue. There's another interesting example in which we were involved, which I would like to tell you. Let's see if you can see that video. And if you're able to share the sound, that will be great. I think Just 1 second, Vijay, you can stop sharing. And, I will share my screen because I think sharing the video is pretty important in this case with the sound. Yeah. So let's quickly take a look at this. This was a promo for Kaun Banega Crorepati. It's in Hindi, but you'll be able to figure out what's going on here.
मैं सही फैसले लेने में विश्वास नहीं करता। मैं पहले फैसला लेता हूँ, फिर उसे सही साबित करता हूँ। ये किसने कहा? ऑप्शन सुनिए। ए बिल गेट्स, बी रतन टाटा,
बी रतन टाटा।
भाई साहब ऑप्शन से पूरा कर लेने दीजिए।
नो नीड सर, हम हेडलाइन देख के न्यूज समझ जाते हैं, लिफाफा देख के लेटर।
आप इतनी जल्दी में क्यों है महोदय?
लाइफ में कितना कुछ करना है और टाइम कितना कम है। योलो सर, योलो।
योलो?
यू ओनली लिव वंस।
भाई साहब, YGJH, ये गलत जवाब है। सही उत्तर है डी, नन ऑफ द अबव।
मैंने तो सर वो रिपोर्ट पढ़ी थी सर।
आधी पढ़ी थी या सिर्फ हेडलाइन देखा था आपने? तो देखा आपने देवियों सज्जनों, ज्ञान जहां से भी मिले उसे बटोर लीजिए, तो पहले जरा टटोल लीजिए।
कौन बनेगा करोड़पति, जल्दी सोनी पर।
So in this promo, essentially we're trying to say that don't believe everything you read at the first search result on Google, because if you go to Google and type out this whole thing, this quote, I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and then make them right. So many sources attributed to Ratan Tata. So we said it's wrong. Hundreds of people wrote into Sony, and several people called Mr. Bachchan and said, no, sir, what you have said there is wrong. It was said by Ratan Tata only. Then we had to actually go to a source where Ratan Tata admits, Mr. Ratan Tata says, as a direct quote from him, saying, I never said this quote. People have taken it and put it under my name and put it on Google, but I never actually said this. So he says that, but to find that is not very easy, because if you take this quote and type it into Google and do a quick search, you will think that it's attributed to Ratan Tata, but it's actually not. He did not say this, and he has gone on record to say that I did not say this at all. It's been attributed to me, right? So this is the other thing that many of you may be thinking about saying today with AI and with Google. We can do all of this ourselves, which is also great. I would encourage all of you to please do it yourselves, because at least that way we will be paying attention to this issue. But what is the expertise that we bring to the table is what we call peeling the onion, which is going one layer below. Everything in the first 10 Google search results may or may not be true. So the way to authenticate it is much more. So for example, when we do our questions, we authenticate it in a very, very stringent manner, where there is a reputed website or a book. I mean, we do not rely on sources like Wikipedia, for example, because anybody can go and edit a Wikipedia page. So there'll be a pre-approved list of websites. Then, if there is a book, there is a book. And the question has to be supported by at least one authentic source, or it is rejected. Even if we are asking a question like, who was the first Prime Minister of India? நம்ம எல்லாருக்குமே ஆன்சர் தெரியும். Everybody knows it's Sri Jawaharlal Nehru. But if I am not able to produce a government gazette notification that he was the Prime Minister of India in 1947 and thereby the first Prime Minister, I will not use that question. That is the level of detail and rigor we go into while setting questions for TV quiz shows and our on-ground quiz shows. And so we are trying to bring that same rigor and fact-checking expertise into the world of fiction, on cinema, OTT, and other formats. So again, repeating, factual accuracy is not the enemy of creativity. It goes hand in hand with creativity, and it is what helps creative choices feel grounded, intentional, and believable, and adds that level of richness and layer to your story. I have two of my colleagues on the call as well, Rishikesh Verma, our Director Media, and Vijay Prabhakar, our Director Sales. Any questions, we are more than happy to answer. But I will hand it over now to Shakti to kind of give us a little bit of context on all this fact-checking. Authentication is okay, but where does and how does the legal framework and angle come into this thing?
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful session. Yes. So before we go to the questions, firstly, what IP-CLIMB does and how it is relevant to law, and how showcase the right fact is important. The objective here is again, as sir reiterated it quite a times, is not to restrict creativity, but to ensure that creative expression is informed, legally defensible, and adequately protected. So like how sir told that they will have a trusted source, and only then they'll be able to, only then they'll push the question to the next level. Any fact that you are about to show in your creation must also be legally defensible. So, in essence, strong fact checking is not merely a storytelling tool. So, it functions as a layer of legal risk mitigation. So, you're avoiding legal flaws in the future. We are doing a proper fact check. So, inaccuracies in depiction can expose creators to claims. A large number of claims can be framed upon the creators for showcasing flawed fact, or showcasing improper fact in the film, such as defamation, where particularly where identifiable individuals like celebrities or anybody of historical significance is showcased in the movie, or professions or institutions are portrayed in a false or misleading manner that harms their reputation. So if any of these bodies that I mentioned, any of these person or people that I mentioned, if any of their reputation is being harmed because of the showcase of a certain event or a certain fact or a certain picture, or like how sir had mentioned, a certain brand name at the back of the scene will definitely harm their reputation. So therefore, a structured approach to fact checking strengthens the creative integrity of that creation as well as its legal resilience, so that that particular creation is not getting carried away unnecessarily to the courts. So reducing the likelihood of disputes, notices, and reputational damage, I think it is very necessary for all creations to a very large extent. And I think ideally all creations should do it, but the more we do it, the much better for the creation, and avoidance from legal dispute, or say from legal backlash, or getting dragged into the court for years. So, and to add one more thing to Sir's checklists, I would also like to suggest from on behalf of IP-CLIMB to add another checklist, as all on-screen content must be duly cleared for legal use, since anything that has that is a valid fact cannot be legally showcased in a movie, or say used in a movie. Anything, it could be a scene, it could be a dialogue, it could be a picture, or it could be a background music from an early released film, which shall not be used without having a proper legal clearance from the actual owner, who has the authority to give the permission to use it in that particular creation which the creator is going to create in the future. So yes, just that's just a suggestion from my time side to add that on your checklist as well, and to all creators to keep that on mind while having a work that is being made. So yes, sir, that is IP-CLIMB's part, and I really think that people should give one more thought before showcasing anything on the screen, so that they avoid all of the legal effects that will be followed by this thing. So yes, the floor is now open to questions. Participants who have doubts can unmute their mic, or you can even put it in the chat box so that I can draw questions from the chat box to sir. I think sir's explanation was quite well, that nobody has any doubt.
No, not at all. No problem. To anybody watching, either on the live stream or directly on this call, if you would like to know more, and if you would like to explore any engagements with us, even as a pilot, or if you have any more questions on the process, or some specific sample that you would like tested out and so on, please contact the IP-CLIMB team. Producer Bazaar, IP-CLIMB, and Nexus work very closely in offering this as a joint offering to the market. So please feel free to reach out to us. either directly to Nexus or to IPCLIMB or Producer Bazaar, and we will be happy to help you with this.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. So I'll just send the communication details, contact details about IPCLIMB. Sir, I think we have a question in the chat
Yes,
box.
there is a question, and I think that question is more for you. How was the settlement amount determined for that small error? 1.1 crore seems a very high number for a small mistake.
Yes, Mr. Vijay Kumar. Actually, it involves a number of a number of obligations that the production or the creator has to settle to the student, since it not only involves their their reputational loss. The student would have had a mental disturbance because of this effect, or his personal rights, which rights of privacy would have been violated because of his personal phone number would have having been leaked in the screen, and his legal expenses which he would have to manage because of this particular dispute, which he did not would have anticipated in the first instance before this movie. And I think nobody would have expected that on a random day one movie releases, you carry on your usual work, and then suddenly you get a rush of calls. I think, yeah, so all these would involve parts of that 1.1 crore. And of course, since it's in a larger medium, and once you have a clever legal team, I think they will be able to provide accounts to all these all the number that's being asked from the production.
So I think the point here is you cannot really anticipate what the damage will be, right? I mean, it could be a few thousands, a few lakhs, or in this case, even a crore for a completely inadvertent or minor mistake.
Yes, sir. Yes, it we can't call it a completely inadvertent mistake, since the effect that it is going to have on that particular individual is going to be at large, and we can really not amount it to a quantity of loss, or say mental disturbance or agony that the person is going to experience. So it is all going to come to that cost, and I think that is very subjective. So
Yeah,
we really
that is what I was saying. It's very subjective.
Yes, and we really can't delve into that particular numbers. So yes,
Yeah.
so yes, sir. So following Nexus's contact, I am just posting the contact details of IPCLIMB in the chat box as well, and we also have our WhatsApp group link for, which is particularly a creator community group, which I think would benefit.
I'm so sorry,
to
Shakti. I
all
think there's a
individual creators.
follow-up question.
Yeah, there's a follow-up question, Shakti, on whether the settlement amount effectively depends on the box office collection or not.
So maybe I can take care. I'm from the legal IPCLIMB as well. So basically, settlement amount will generally not depend on the box office collection or the revenue generated. It will mostly depend on various factors, like if there is a copyright infringement, or how the person, let's say how the producer or the director, or how a particular person gets affected based on that, and what will be the monetary loss that they would incur in it. It will not be dependent on the box office collection. However, it can be about the copyright of that film, or maybe the factual error can give him actual monetary loss. For example, let's say in this Ilayaraja dispute, there was a usage of his music in the film without any consent from his end. So there was a monetary harm for Ilayaraja sir, because they did not attribute to it. And since film being a commercial setting, they would gain some sort of revenue from that. So it mostly depends on the monetary loss rather than the monetary gain. If it makes sense to you, Mr. Vijay?
Thank you so much, Ketana. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Vijay. Thank you, Ketana. Thank you so much for the clarification. Most welcome, Vijay. Thank you. So yes, as I was saying, we have a creator community group over WhatsApp, which shall be of great fit for people, for creators, for production houses, or for writers who are looking to who are about to make creation. And yes, which will be of amazing benefit to you all. So I really appreciate you all to join. And yes, so with that, we have reached to the end of our session. So thank you once again, sir. I'm sure our audience now have a much clearer understanding and would have now understood why there is a particular need why it is important to do the fact checking, and why it is not just a process, but it is very essential and a critical part of this whole creative scene. So thank you so much. So yes, with that, we have come to the end of this very, very full and very effective webinar, I believe. And thank you so much for taking part in it and explaining everything and to answering
Thank
the
you.
team.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much. And thank you for that opportunity. And hope all of you enjoyed it and, hope you benefited from it. We look forward to being in touch with all of you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Looking forward to hosting you all once again. So thanks all the participants. Please do stay tuned to IP Climb and Nexus. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.